What's up, everyone? Back again, part three of string manipulation. We're looking at Selenium WebDriver using Python. But before we get to Selenium, we got to get good at Python, right? We have to get our foundation very, very strong because your foundations, the deeper the foundations, the higher you're going to go and you going far. All right, so let's get going, baby. I hope you're ready to go. We're rocking and rolling today. We're not here to waste time. We're ready to dig deep. All right, so today part three is the last part of strings. There might be more, but this is going to be the last big subset of the string parts. The strings are critical because one great thing about Python, you can use Python to scrap web pages, create bots to search and get information online for your own personal use to automate different parts of your life, maybe for your business or for work or school, whatever the case might be, whatever your needs for learning Python and Selenium is. All right, so you can see we're going to be back to our definitions here. I mentioned just kind of want to reiterate a few things. Part one, we looked at formatting and concatenations. If you haven't checked that out, please go back and watch it. In part two of the string manipulation series, what we did was we looked at a variety of methods and functions: the length function, the lower function, the upper function, the replace function. We also look at a variety of other function, a capitalized function, right? So if you haven't had a chance, go back and watch part two, so you will be on the same wavelength as everybody else. So part three, we're gonna look at part three is what's called indexing and slicing in Python, which is one of the main strengths that gives Python its edge when it comes to web scraping and a variety of other great things you can do with the Python programming language. All right, we talked about again strings are sequence of characters, right? You have a string, it's a sequence of character. You store that value within a particular variable, right? Okay. You can access strings. You can access characters in a string using indexing and slicing. Like we mentioned, strings are made up of characters and they are index based. So the index is just the position of that character within the string. All right. So index within strings, right? So here's what you always want to keep in mind when you have indexing, you're talking about slicing, and this is talking about indexing really. You always have a start position, a stop position, and a step, which we're going to look at later. We're just going to start off slowly and build up, ramp up pretty fast. All right. So today we're going to look at indexing one, right? So we're just going to do index one, right? So what I want us to do is we're going to type in this is an index string, um, index string in Python. Okay. All right. So what I want you to do here is now that you have that written, what you let's actually add a full stop. What I want you to do is I want you to do this. Just type in index one. So you want to call that variable. And now what you're gonna do is you're gonna hit the square brackets, open and close, right? The square brackets. Click that. Click the square bracket, not the curly braces. Click the square brackets, and what I want you to do is type 0. And when you type 0 now, I want you to do print, pass the print function, or call the print function, and pass in that index 1 um, with the square bracket value to it with the number 0. So what you're doing here, within this index 1 variable, you're passing it this 0 based index. So the 0 based index is telling Python that within this index 1 variable, look within the actual values or characters that were passed to that index 1 variable, and you're going to start counting the index. So normally when you're looking at the indexing within Python, the position, index 0 is always going to be the first character. So T in this case, the upper letter T is the first index, index 0. H, lower letter H is the 1 position. I is the position 2. S as in Sierra is the position 3. The space here, don't ignore the space, don't jump, no, don't jump, one step at a time, is the position 4. Position 5, I, position 6, S, space, and so forth. So keep in mind, always remember position 0. So let's print that out. And what do you think that should give us? Remember what we did last time. Let's just do print and space, okay, for future references. And we're going to do, this is part 3. And what do you do? it gives us position 0 printed out T to the screen. Perfect, right? And this is great for web scraping and get information on the website. So let's do 1. All right. And what did that do? Return H as expected, right? So this is what indexing is. So put in 2, pass the value 2, and what do you do? Return I. And let's go to S3, right? And pass that. Pardon me. You can see it's S. Oops. Okay. All right. So that's the first part of you're passing in a single value within your index. So what if you want to just get a portion of a string, a substring, if you will. So you can use this colon here, and what you want to do is if you do 0, again 0 is going to be the first character within that string. 0, 1, 2, 0, 0T, 1H, I3, sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, right. Right. So if I do 4. So what does that mean? 0 is T, H is 1, I is 2, S is 3, space is 4. So what do you think is going to be printed out? Well, if you said this, the word this, you are correct, right? So when you're looking at indexing, what it does is it starts from the first character. So it's going to grab T, grab everything up until 4, and it's going to stop at the position right before 4. So if you want this, you're going to say, you're going to have to put in position 4. Give me everything up till position 4, not including. So position 4 is excluded from that index position. So let's look at that. Type that in, notice it brings in this. Now if I just counted, okay, 0, T, H1, I2, S3, and I wanted to just still return the word this, I'm not going to get this because it always stops at the index position right before when you're looking at this second portion of this position for the indexing. See, notice that only THI. So if I want this, I have to make sure, what do I do? Add 4, and it's going to go to the position right before 4, right? And there we go. So that's this. Another thing you can do is if you want to print out everything from 0 all the way to the end, you don't pass in the second value. You just do 0 only. What it's going to do is it's going to return the entire value. Now, if I do from position 4, what that's going to do is going to start from the space all the way to the end, right? So let's do that. And you notice it gave me that space at the beginning because it returned a value all the way to the end. So let's just make this 5. So it's going to start from 5 and go all the way to the end. All right. So another thing you want to do is you can take a look at is if we do 0, and you might ask yourself, how do we start from this end position? For example, this full stop or this period. So you notice that, like I mentioned, this 0 is the T position, or T is the 0th position. Now, if you go to -1, which is going to be to the left of, you're looking at your X horizontal axis, well, it comes from 0, then it goes around, and it starts from the back here. So this is going to be -1, this period, and it's -2, and so forth. So if I wanted to just print out, return just a full stop, I can just do -1. And what it's going to do is going to return just this last value only. All right, so let's check that out. Oh, sorry, that's my fault. I'm sorry. So it returned everything, right? So if I did, that was my fault, right? So it returns everything up till the letter N, excluding, remember, it always excludes whatever you pass. So we pass -1, it's going to exclude that. So that's definitely my fault. So let's do this. Let's just return everything here. Let's do something else. Let's do -2, and it's going to do the same thing. You see, so it's going to take away the N value there. So that's it with the indexing position. Another thing I want us to look at is called stepping. So if I do 0, and let's say I do no, okay. Let me just let me just leave everything, right? So just do no. Let's make it simple for you. So let's do 0, and I'm gonna do let's do 10. Let's see where this comes to. Let's just do this. Okay, perfect. All right, so it says this is and, right? So if I now add the step, as you can see here, the step. So the step is pretty much what do I want to step over to count every particular position in that index within that string. What do I want to step? What position do I want to pass? What number value? So if I do 1, it's just going to return the same this is and that we just passed, right? Now if I make this 2, the number 2. What it's going to do here is going to return, obviously, I'm telling it to start from 0 and stop at the, position 10, which is really the position before 10, as you guys know. It's gonna return 0 because 0 is the first value I told it to return. So it's gonna say 0 T 1 H. It's gonna skip H, right? And 2 is gonna return I as the first. So it's gonna say TI because 2 is a step. So step to the second position, right? So it's gonna say TI. Same thing here. It's gonna say 1, then it's gonna return a space. So it's gonna be TI space, then 1, I then S. So if you get TI space S, we should, right? And there you go. See that? So it says TI space S, right? So it always goes starting from the position you pass, in this case 0, it counts 1, 2 in this case, right? To whatever the actual value that you put in the step position. Now, if we put 3 for the same function here, what you can do here is it's going to do the same thing. 0 is a t value. It's going to return t, then it's going to go 1 h I s. So 1 h I 2 s and 3 s. So it's going to be t space. Then it's going to start over 1 I 2 s space. It's going to be space space 3. So it's going to be t space space a before it even does anything. So we should get t space space a, right? Let's do it again. 0. See, you learn. 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking skipping. I was thinking index. See, this is going to get confusing. That's why you have to definitely keep on practicing. Sorry. So it's T, yeah. So H, 1, 2, 3. The S position. That was my fault. Same thing. Space, 1, 2, 3, S. Yeah, so it's TSS. That was right. I was thinking the position afterwards. But anyway, so I hope you guys get the idea with the step in. That's one thing you want to practice, practice, practice. So if I just removed everything, right? If I just did, if I didn't do anything, what it's going to do is it's going to look at the entire value in the index 1 string variable, and what it's going to do is going to step to the third position all the way. You're going to see it. See that? Looks like gibberish, but all the way it went to. It started with the first value t, because we said return everything. Then h, you can see s, s all the way. We can change this to 7. It should be a shorter value return, but it's the same idea. You see that? Tieni. Oh, there you go. Pretty interesting. So another thing you can do is if you want to reverse a string, because this is a popular interview question that sometimes tells you how can you reverse your string. One good trick you can do the same thing. Your start position, stop position, and do a -1. When you pass -1, what it's going to do is going to reverse the entire string, starting from the period all the way to n0 to t. Watch, it's going to print it out reverse, right? See that? Period and blah 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 all the way to this. So it's like Python in string index and is this. So it reversed it, right? So that's a popular interview question. Don't get tricked if you see that. Just remember to put your start, stop, and your step position. Let's look at a few more things before I wrap this video up. Let's go back to index 1 again. And we're going to do this time, we're going to do index 1. We're going to pass something called the find method. So same thing we talked about in the last video too, when we looked at different string methods. F. So you can see the find, right? So what do you want to pass? What is a substring? You can see here, what is my substring? What is the start position and end position? Well, you can define that, right? So we say, so within index 1, what do I want to find? I want to find, I'm going to find the period. There we go. So I want to find the period within. This is great for web scraping. Just trust me, this is amazing. All right. So you want to find the period within that index 1 string, okay? And let's just find this period. All right, so what it's going to do is going to return the numeric value. What is the numeric value? What index position does that fall? All right, so oops, what am I doing? Okay, well, hold on a second. Let's comment that out, and let's put our thing here again. All right, so we're doing index 1, and we put find, so we want to find that, so it's going to return that position. Maybe it's not finding that. One second here. Let's try n. Let's see here. What's going on? Let's see here. What is going on? So I have my index 1 dot find. Let's see. What isn't it like in here? Let's see here. So index one. This is index find. Oh, yeah. I see what it is. That's my fault. Sorry, guys. Yeah, that's why it's not working. So I'm not printing. So it's like it's working, but it's just printing nothing to the screen because I didn't pass up the print function. So it's just coming up blank as far as our screen to see. You can see. Okay, sorry. I was just like, what's going on? Anyway, so back to your period there. There you go. So you can see it's 33. So 33 is this starting from 0, which is the T position, all the way to the period, which is the 33rd position in this particular string. So how do we know that's true? It's pretty simple. Let's do the same thing here. Um, let's do print, and we're gonna do what we just learned earlier. We're gonna do index 1, and what are you gonna do? The open and close square brackets, and you're going to pass the position 33. And what should it do? It should return a full stop, right? It should return the period, right? So you see that? It returned the period right there. So that shows it was the actual right position there. A few more things here. What you want to do is you can also do this in Python, which is great. You can actually skip, for example, if I want to actually, let's see something that's repeating itself here. If you notice within this index here, let's see. Let me just think. Okay, let's do this. This is an index string in Python, and I'm gonna say space that helps us. Helps that is helpful in writing code. In writing code. Okay. All right. So let's do it again. Let's see what that period evaluates to. Let's pass that again. And this is the value 66. Okay. The reason I did this, I want you guys to check this out. How do I get a particular position if it repeats itself within the string, right? So if you notice here, I have is here and have is here. So what if I'm scraping a web page or website and I want to get a particular link, but I want to skip, for example, this particular string, and I wanted to actually tell me what this position is. How do you do that? All right. So the best way to do that here is if we say, okay, if we pass this is, right? So if I pass the find to the find method, this is string, what it's going to do is always going to grab the first one, right, with this find. So let's do that. Let's check it out, right? So you can see that's the second position. Oh, sorry, right? Actually, even grab this one, which is great, right? So you can see within here is the is position, right? So it's 0, 1, 2. So it starts is. That's where it starts. So it grabbed that, right? That's where it starts from. So the is. So what do you want to do if you want to, let's say, get this one, or maybe let's say I want to get this one. We're going to actually get to this, but let's build it up. So I want you to do here is do comma, and what you want to do is, since we know this is the second position, you want to do something higher than that. So when it looks for it, it sees something higher than that original position. So in this case, if you pass 2, it's going to find the same thing. So you want to do something greater than 2. So when the Python is evaluating this and interpreting it, it's going to skip this is because it says 2. It says fine, but you're going to say start from the third position. Right? So you're going to say start from anything past here. So what it's going to do is going to come here, find I, but it says, oh, but you want me to start from the position after 2, in this case 3. So it's going to pass this up, and it's going to start from the third position on, and it's going to find this guy. All right, so let's do that. And if you notice, it's the 5th position. So 0, 1, 2, 3, space 4, and 5. You now found that. So how do we get it to find this? Same thing. So this is 5, so just give it something greater. Same thing, just do 6, and it's going to now find this. Let's see, there's nothing else, so it should find this position, wherever that position is. I'm assuming it's around 39 or 36 or something. Oh, 40, there we go. So see, it found that 40th position, which is this right here. So it skipped this at the second position, skipped this at the 5th, because we passed in the value 6. It went all the way to the 40th position. So that's how you do the indexing with the start, the stop, and the step parameters you can pass to find index values to do slicing. You can also use the find method. There's also the index method that can be used with Python. The difference between the index method, so if you use the index method instead, it's the same thing, but the difference between this is that if I do something like hello, it doesn't find it. Python is going to throw an exception. That's the difference between the index and the find. The index method actually throws an exception if you pass it to it. See that? It says substring not found. So that's your difference, right? But it does the same thing. It's going to return the index 40 also, right? It's the same exact thing it does as our previous batch of code. So that's it for this video, guys. I wanted to show you a few things about indexing and slicing, which is a powerful, powerful fundamental you want to be very familiar with as you grow in your Python knowledge and skills. Because when we get into using Selenium WebDriver, you're going to have to go back and begin to utilize a lot of these skill sets. So to the next video, see you pretty soon. Practice, 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 and take action. TestDemy.com. I'll holla. Have a great one. Peace. Bless up.